Hi everyone. I'm back again with my Spring Florals journal for the last installment of creating the sweet little journal. I added a closure, as you can see. This is a piece of sari ribbon, and I took the wooden button that came in my little kit and I added another button on the top, and I added a button on the inside here. I think you can see it right in there. And that is to hold the button up high enough for me to be able to wrap the sari ribbon around. So I wanted to show you what that closure ended up looking like. I gave a little hint of it laying on my table at the end of the last video. So I did get that complete. And there's also another little button that I sewed on the inside too, to keep the strings and things from pulling through and accidentally popping off. So that just gives it some stability. Let's see what I changed, what I did differently from the last time that you saw this journal. I didn't do anything to this page different. All right, on this one, I added these two little, I almost said stars, hearts, and they're little golden stickers, and they're just really cute, and I thought that would add a little touch up in that quote that looked a little bit empty. And then on this page, I added this little yellow strip of paper that I had stamped some sewing stamps on. I think I used that back a couple months back in my Mixed Media Morsels Layers of Fun video. And that was an extra piece that was left over, and it just was perfect. And then I also glued a little button in place there with it. So that's just really sweet. It makes me happy. And then over here, I added a quote that says, "Live in the moment." It's gold. The writing is gold at the top, "Live in the moment." And I outlined my little butterfly sticker, and I added a little cluster here. And this has like a ticket, some flowers, and some threads in this little cluster. So I love that. I also made a little tag with a bird on it to put on this page that had just the florals and didn't have anything else on it. So I like that. On this side, I had added, this is a scrap of some fabric. It was just a tiny strip of fabric about this long. And so I bunched it up, ran it under the sewing machine to make this little ruffle at the sweetest. And the reason that it works well is because it's covering up the end of this tag that was sticking out. It was white on the other side. And I said, what can I put there? And then I saw that ribbon laying in my little box full of goodies. And I was like, ooh, I can make a ruffle. So, and then it worked out that the green worked perfectly with this page over here too, with all this green and the florals and stuff. So I love it. Just perfect. And I also added this little sticker that says, "Do what makes you happy." And then let's see, over here, I added a little bit of rickrack. And I added a little bit to this tag. I already had this tag made, and I already had the lace piece stitched to it. But I added this piece of ribbon. This was just some scrap that was in my box, and I love how that looks. And then on the back, I added a piece of scrapbook paper and another sticker. It's a planner sticker with a big quote that says, "Be present in all things." So I just think that just worked out beautifully. So that just tucks in my little seed packet. And then over here, my little tag that I had pinned to the corner of my page, it was wanting to swing out a lot, and I was afraid it was going to get ripped off at some point. So I found a little clip in my stash, and believe it or not, it was a coral color. So I clipped the tag to the page, and I can unclip it if I want to. There's nothing on the back currently. It's just the grid paper that you see here. If I need some more journaling space, I can unclip that, and I can write on the back of that tag and then clip it right back in place. The only thing I did differently on this one was I added some outlines on my little stamp that I put on the tab there. And then on the back, it's still just plain, and I left the little tea bag tag in place so that I could remember that that was from a tea bag. And so I have that as journaling, or for another photo. If I find a pretty little floral picture, I would like to add to this journal. You can do that there. And then on this one, I added a teal colored outline all the way around to kind of frame this little page here. And I added a little bit of black on my letters here for the shadowing to help those letters stand out. All right, and then on this one, I just wrote in just a little phrase there that says keep it simple. I loved that the tag was wavy on its own, and then it allowed me to do my wavy lettering in there that I like to do. So I just decided that was the little phrase I wanted to put in there, and I think it fits perfectly. I love it. And I also love how the ribbons on this tag from this side match so well to the greens and all on this fabric, and I didn't plan any of that. I love it. Okay, now on this one, I added a little bee to the page tab that I had put on this little flap. And then I added two little flags. These are little stickers from a planner book, a sticker book. And this little brown one had these white hearts along the length of the flag. And so I outlined them in black. And then I wrote inside each one the letters to spell create. And it added just another element to that page. Now on the inside, the only thing I did different was this middle bit. I added these three little images, and I just think it looks really sweet. And I have lots of room to come back in and do some journaling, which I will do later. This image was from a children's book. And this one was from one of my planners. You've seen me use her art before. I love those. Okay, this one just had these potted flowers on it, and then I added this piece of a jelly print, and this one up here was another jelly print, and I kind of just layered them up, and I thought that was just really fun, and it makes this whole spread look real whimsical. Then I added the little piece of rickrack between the two to kind of separate them. On this side, I had just this plain white envelope, and so I added a piece of tissue paper. That's what the green leafy bit is here. And I added a quote that says, "All great things have small beginnings." I added a border, actually two borders. There's a pink border and a thin black border. And then I added this little flower. And then I added this little cardstock bit. I talked before about this little bird clip being pretty loose. And so I love how his wing covers up that little mark on the envelope. It's just perfect spot. And it's perfect size. It's just great. But it is kind of loose on there. And so I knew I was going to have to tuck something up under there that was thicker. So I took this. This is a print of one of my collage pieces I had done with some jelly prints. And so I had printed this out on a piece of cardstock. So I took a bit of it and rounded the corners and folded it in half. And it makes a little, like a little folio sort of a deal. And what I did on the inside is just drew some lines and then put a little pink sticker in the corner. And that gives me a little journaling space. So, and it's a dual purpose because it keeps that little bird clip on there nice and snug. Now behind him is a tag. I made this tall tag on purpose because I wanted this bird to have a backing, something that separated it from the rest of the journal. Like he kind of gets lost, and with this back there, I felt like he could be seen better. So what I did was just took this little tag. I really like the way these numbers and colors look showing through this window. So I just turned it on its side, and I figured, well, if we're making a little whimsical fun journal, I'll just continue the whimsy. So I turned it over and I glued this piece of cardstock to the back side of it. And then I added a sticker from the planner sticker book that says "Do What You Love," and I added another little sticker. I believe this one came from the Dollar Tree. And I put it on this side because I knew it was going to show up right here, behind the bird right here. And that just makes it nice and colorful back there behind him. And it gives, like, I don't know, it's just like a little frame that he's against. This tag goes in here this way. And so the back side has a butterfly on a green leafy background, which is just a piece of tissue paper that you guys have seen me use plenty of times before. I just put that down on the white background, and I love how that looks with the butterfly on there. And the back side of this little horizontal tag here was green, so it just blends real well with what I did there, so it makes me happy. I can add another quote, or I can add some journaling, whatever I want on that tag. And then I also wrote in "so much fun" on the little button jar there. I love this little tag, and the pinwheel, of course, reminds me of my childhood because I played with those things all the time. And so I added a little outline, just a black pen outline to this tag, and I added the piece of black and white ribbon, and that really makes all these gorgeous colors pop. On the back side, it's just all those gorgeous colors, and it's a perfect place to do some more journaling if I choose to do so. But I do love, love, love that little pinwheel on there. And the colors too. Oh my goodness, I love those colors. And so on the edge here, I just did some scribbling, literal scribbling, to look like very messy stitching. And I mean very messy stitching. But I just love how that looks. And so if you can't sew, like my pages were already sewn into my book, so I couldn't stick this under the sewing machine. I mean, I could have, but it would have been very challenging, and I could have torn a page or something, which I did not want to do. So I just scribbled with a pen, and I just love how that looks. So I'm just happy with it. And then I did some black outline on the edge of this side of the page, and I added a little sticker that says "Love This Day." I didn't change anything here. And then over here, I added a couple of changes. You guys might remember when I first showed you this page, I was putting these labels down to cover up some writing that was on this magazine page. All of this garden image was from a magazine. And there was writing in white letters all over. And so I wanted to kind of disguise that just a little bit so it didn't draw so much attention. And these little labels that I made worked out perfectly. I love that. And there was a little bit more writing up here, and you might be able to see it if you look closely right in here. You can see some writing. I covered it with some green markers. And to further cover it, I made a little tag to clip right here at the top. And I love this little tag. I was going to try to see if I could find any more of this particular image to use to cut a tag from. And I couldn't find any more of this. So I found a picture of a different garden in a different magazine. And it blends so perfectly, you would swear that they all kind of went together. It's just amazing. So because I wanted it to be seen, I did draw a white outline around the edge of the tag. And that kind of helps it to pop out a little bit. Like you can see that it's part of the garden, but it's also a tag to be looked at. So I love how that worked out. So I had taken a piece of just cardstock, and I glued this magazine image down, and then I ripped the tag at the bottom just to give it a random torn edge. And I love that. I also attached a piece of scrapbook paper to the back. And this right here, the purple flowers, is another little bit from the garden image. It just was a little piece of leftover, and it made the perfect little piece of like washi tape. I just love it. And then I added this little quote that says "Flowers are nature's poetry." And so I just have this clipped right on top of my garden spread right in the middle of my book. And I just love how it looks. And I love the birdhouse on it. It's just something you would expect to see in a garden or in a yard. And I thought that would just be perfect. So because of that little birdhouse, I decided to add a little bird at the bottom edge of my page. It's just a little sticker, but it just made it all work, you know. Of course, there's another little bird over here. I like that too. So there's several birds in the garden, which is appropriate. And then on this side, you probably saw in the last video, I added these little words to make this quote that says, "My most favorite thing is when the flowers sing." I do love flowers so much, so I thought that was a perfect quote for me to add to my journal. And Then I added one over here that says, as the sun colors flowers, so does art color life. And this little flower that I had added in the last video is just me testing out some watercolor paints. So I just had painted a little flower while I was just testing it out to see how I like the coloring. And this was to do another one of my Mixed Media Morsels Layers of Fun pages. I was testing out the colors for that video. So the little flower that I painted was kind of so-so. It was, nothing to write home about. But once it was dry and I added some doodling and cut it out, I just loved it. And I thought, I'm just going to use that in my little florals journal. So that's what I did. There were a couple of words on this shorthand page here. One was reward, one was backward underneath the tape here, and one was forward. And I circled the word forward because I like the moving forward aspect. In fact, I'm going to write the word go out beside it. So we know we're going to go forward. Go forward. As in not backward. So yeah, I like that. All right, now the back side of this shorthand page, I wanted to leave a lot of the shorthand visible on that, so I did. And all I added here was just a couple of pieces of washi tape up here and this little floral image right here at the bottom, so I could see all of this shorthand writing. I have no idea what it says anymore because totally forgotten. But it's a sweet little memory of taking shorthand in high school. I know a lot of you can relate. A lot of you experienced the same thing when you were a teenager in high school. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved every moment of it. It was almost like art, because you were drawing symbols to represent words. And so I just thought it was great fun. And being able to memorize all those things was just really a fun, unique thing to do. Of course, none of that shorthand is used nowadays. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, shorthand was a secretary's quick way of writing when she was taking dictation from her boss. And so she would sit with her steno pad, the kind that have the wire binding at the top edge. And she would sit with her steno pad and he could just talk as fast as he wanted. And she could sit and jot all of these symbols that represented words because it was quicker than writing out longhand. I don't believe anybody's doing any of that today because we've got so many different recording devices and stuff. There's no need. But it's a good memory to have of history and what we used to do, back in the day, way back in the day. Now, on this side is a gorgeous image of a beautiful goldfinch, which I just love that image. I love the greens and pinks together with the pop of yellow in the middle. Oh, so pretty. I love it so much, and I was excited that I found a sticker that says, love this. And then this is the other side of that envelope. And I have a tag inside here that the tag was white on the back. And so I added another piece of tissue paper here with a quote sticker that says, be true to you. And added a little ribbon at the top and some faux stitching that I did with a black pen. And then this is what the tag originally looked like. It just had these little colored leaves printed on this wood grain piece. And so I just added a little sticker here and a little sticker here that says one day at a time. And I put it in here. I put the black sticker up here because I thought it was just really sweet to be able to see that through the window. All right, on this page, you guys saw me in the last video covering this with washi tape. That was fun. I love how that looks. It's just so different. And when I found this image of these flowers, this was something that I had cut out of a catalog several years ago. And it was just the right size to fit on this envelope right here. And when I looked at it, I couldn't believe how it blended with the colors that were going on this side. And I was like, wow, that is so crazy how the colors match. And then the further thought was that it looks like the lady that was wandering around in the garden that took her hat off and laid it in the chair here on top of this pillow. And she set her watering can down. I think she had a basket with her and she went wandering into the fields. And she started snipping some flowers and things that she saw growing, and she brought them in, and she put them in some pretty little glass vases. I just love how that little page turned into a little story. And it was so unintentional. That's what's crazy about it. It was just totally not intended. So I love it so much. So I came back later and I added a heart. This was from a jelly print, and it was, punched from a jelly print. And then I added this little sticker on it and doodled some white and black around it. But it's just amazing. And so this sticker says "Live in the Moment." And it's so funny when I put this sticker on that says "Live in the Moment," I put it on last. I mean, I had done this earlier and then I did this later. And when I put this one down, I said, I don't think I've used that quote anywhere in this journal, but I didn't go look. And sure enough, I had used it in this journal. So I've got that quote twice in here, and I think that's just fine because one's at the beginning and one's near the end. And it's just a good reminder to live in the moment and take notice of things that are going on around you, and don't be thinking too far forward, or don't be living in the past. Just, live in your moment and enjoy your life. And so I think that's a really good quote for all of us. And to see it repeatedly is just a bonus, I think. All right, now on this page, I did add these little washi tapes, 2 pieces, to that ledger paper that was back there. I felt like it brightened it up a little bit. It makes it more fun and playful, which, is what I love. I also added this little flower and this little piece of cardstock that I had done some stitching on. I was just testing out some stitching one day, and so I grabbed a piece of cardstock, stitched on it, and then went on with my sewing, whatever I was doing. And then later I came back and found that piece of cardstock and just ripped it off. And I almost threw it away, and I was like, that's kind of cute. I might be able to find a place to use that, and so I threw it in my little box. And sure enough, it just works perfectly on this page, so I love it. But anyway, this page I wanted to mention, this beautiful piece of fabric is hand painted and sent to me by Janet Nash. She put it in a little Happy Mail to me, as well as these other little items. This is an adorable little fairy that she made for me. Isn't that cute? It's an ATC, and she sent that to me in June of 2022. And I just absolutely love it. And her little fairies are just precious. She's made them a couple of times on her channel, and I think it's so adorable. So that goes in here in this little pocket. And then this was also an envelope she made for me from a magazine page, and one of her little wonky hearts is right here on the front. And then there's just a little note inside on one of her painted papers that she made during one of her streams, and she's got some stitching on there and all. It's just really sweet. And I wanted to keep that little note in this little envelope and put it in this pocket with the little fairy ATC she made for me. And I just think that's adorable. I love it. Love that page. And then this next page has got a piece of paper. That one and this one behind it are some stamperia or stamperia. I'm not sure how you say that. It's from a pack of their papers that I just loved. I love the colors. I love everything about them. They have a vintage look to them, but they're colorful and cute, and I just love that. So I wanted to use a piece of that in my journal, so I put that one down, and then y'all saw me add this label and this flower sticker. And then I came back and added this little quote that says, "Create every day," and a little butterfly in the corner. Oh, and some washi across the top, this black dotted washi. I like how that turned out. And then on the back sides, this page was made from an envelope. This is a security envelope right here. So I had already added this little bird tag and this image from a catalog. So I came back and added a little flower that I had drawn years ago. And then I added this little word hope that I had stamped on a piece of fabric. And I thought that looked really sweet right there. And then all I did on this one was I stitched around it before I glued it down. In the last episode, I glued that on. But I had stitched around it on the sewing machine, and I thought that looked really fun. And this page was so gorgeous, just like it was. I just haven't done anything else to it. Now, I might come back and do something to it. You just never know. I think we all reserve that right. Come back and put things in journals if we want to. But I absolutely love this page. And then on the back side, I added a little piece of note paper that, interestingly enough, had a little coral colored flower on the corner. And I love it. So I put that on this page because this was just a piece of scrapbook paper that was just covered in these little coral flowers. And it was, kind of busy. And I thought that was perfect. It stopped the busyness. It makes you see and notice the pretty little trim on the side. And it gives me a place to journal. And then having the little coral flower in the corner was just an extra special treat. This is the garden page here. You guys saw me add these things, and I may come back and add more flowers here as I come across or as I paint some more flowers. This one I painted. This is from one of my planner pages, and I loved it, so I cut it out and used it. And then I figured there's a place here now that I can journal about how I enjoy growing my flowers and succulents and things like that. And then this was the cozy page. That's just so sweet. I had added a tag on the back side of this, and so this was white. And I found a piece of washi tape that I could not believe matched these little photo corners that I've had I've had them probably 20 years. And this is a roll of washi tape that I bought probably within the last 5 years. And I couldn't believe how well that matched that. Isn't that crazy? I mean, the craziest things happen when you sit down and start creating. Just things you don't even plan, that serendipity stuff, man. Love it. But anyway, I love that. And what I had added over here was I had already put this image on this coral page. And so I came back, and the same little flower that was back here that I was telling you about, that I had painted when I was testing out my watercolors. Now, why can't I find it? There it is. This little flower right here. I was testing out those watercolors just to see what the colors were going to look like. And I also swatched them. And I swatched them a little bit darker. I had used much more water when I painted this. And so I used a little less water when I painted this little swatch strip. And this is more of the way the colors turned out on my mixed media morsels page. They were more like this. So I took that little swatch card and I stapled it in with this little piece that came from a notepad that had these black markings, doodles already on it, on a piece of craft cardstock. And so I just put the two together and stapled it right here. And then I came back and added this little sticker that said, "Enjoy this moment." And I loved how the blacks were working with this ribbon. There's a bow right here. And I liked how the blacks were all working together on this page. And so I brought in some more of the blacks on this side. So I used some more of that washi tape over here. And I added a little leaf behind this flower. And the flower was really plain until I added those little black dots in the center. And it totally transformed it. It was just dull, I guess you'd call it. And just adding that black just made it pop, and it made it match with the rest of the page. And so I was very happy with that. This page probably is one of my favorites. And it was so simple, and it's so true. And I thoroughly enjoyed using some of my ransom note letters that I have, stored away in some boxes. And I had found this in another box of phrases that I had cut out of magazines. And when I saw that you can't stop at just one, I realized, yes, that's right. When you're making journals, you cannot just stop at one. You've got to keep making them. So I totally said, yep, that's what I'm going to do. So I ran and got my ransom note letters and spelled out that word on this page. And then I wrote in the art/junk to cover both types of journals. And And that, folks, is how my journal turned out. And I just absolutely love it. Just so much fun. So make sure that you make journals that make you happy. You know, make sure you create things that you're enjoying. Do it because it's something that you love, and put things in it that you love, because you are going to enjoy creating it so much more, and you're going to enjoy coming back to it and looking through it and reminiscing, you know, as you look through it. So I'm going to post my video with the hashtag on it, Flip Through Friday. And I want to thank Kristina over at Kristina's Shack for hosting the open hashtag so that we can all share flip throughs and share them under that hashtag, and we can see them all in one place. And I guess that's going to be it for today. So we will see you guys again soon in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.